Welcome back, my nomads. Welcome back to another Bitcast. It's your boy Nigel. I'm here with Chris, aka Prince, and Cardell, aka Cash. What's going on, yo?
What's going on, brother?
What's good, bro?
Chilling, man. We back at it again. So let's get right into it, man. Doctor Doom is Robert Downey Jr. How y'all feel about this, yo? Because I got
Cardell, I'll let you go first. Cardell, I'll let you go first.
I was pretty shocked that was the pivot that they went to for Doom was to bring him back. I knew they were going to do something drastic because of the whole Jonathan Major situation and them wanting to pivot away from Kang. Uh, but I wasn't. I knew they were going to pivot away from Kang and we were going to get something different. I wasn't expecting them to go this route. I figured we were going to get Doom because we know they've been kind of teasing things for Fantastic Four. Um, but
right.
I didn't think we were going to get RDJ as Doom. So um, I'll let you guys voice your opinions first, and then we can kind of discuss it in greater detail.
Chris.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't like the move, man. I don't like the move only because I feel like for a couple of reasons. Like we know that this whole multiverse saga has been a bit of a damper
Trash
on the MCU, right? So like I'm being nice about it, right? It hasn't been great, it hasn't been very well received, right? And I feel like this was just one of those like studio cash grab kind of situations where it's just like, all right, here's what I'm saying. I don't think that them casting Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom was solely a story narrative reason. And if it's not a story narrative reason, and maybe it is, maybe they're cooking up something that, we'll eat our words later. But it just seems like this thing hasn't been well received, so let's do something that we know is a surefire thing. And it just feels a little cheap. I'm sure he's going to do a great job. Like we're the three of us here, we're all going to watch it regardless. Like let's be real, right? But I feel like this was a really good chance for them to reintroduce like a new big bad. And I feel like it takes away from it a little bit just because he was such a big character in what made the MCU the MCU.
Let me just start by saying, if you're going to do it like this, I mean, if you were going to make him Doctor Doom, you should have never revealed it. It should have been revealed in the middle of a movie when he's confronted by the Fantastic Four. I don't even know who the Avengers are right now. Somebody. It should have been revealed through a movie. Like Chris, you said maybe we'll eat our words and that this was for a story purpose. Okay, if that's true, y'all wouldn't have done it like this. Let's keep it a buck. So I found out that they asked him to come back, right? And his condition was that the Russo brothers have to come back. That's the only way he was going to come back. And so that's why they were also announced to return. And also, one of the writers, I forget his first name, but McFeely, his last name is McFeely, is also returning. So let's be clear. Endgame, Civil War, and Infinity War, all the Russo brother movies were written by Marcus and McFeely, the writing team. So the four of them, the two brothers and the two writers, are the secret sauce to great MCU movies. All right. Only one of them's returning that we know of. So that's up and up, but at the same time, I'm like, look at the state of the MCU right now. What they're planning on dropping Avengers Doomsday in 2 years. What do you have to work with? You have no team. You have what the new Hawkeye, the new basically all the new heroes who have the name of the old heroes, the new Hulk, Scar, and everything like that. Like who do you have? You have what's his name? I can't think of his name. Shang Chi,
I
you got
think,
him.
and not to
You
cut
don't
you
really
off,
have
Nigel,
anybody.
but to that point, I think you answered your own question before you asked it. Who they have is the Russo brothers, RDJ, and the writer, and that's what they're leaning on, which is why it's an issue for me because it's like, oh, all these other new things we were trying are not landing well, so let's just go back to a thing we know that works. Which I understand. Look, it's Disney, right? They got to make a buck. I get it, right? But like, and again, maybe the writing in the movie will be great and they'll be able to explain it in a way that it's like, oh my god, that makes total sense. But yeah, right now it feels like 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 they were sitting in the room and they were like, ah, shit, what do we do? Let's just bring the old thing back.
A great man
Well,
once said, "You die a hero or live long enough to become a villain." And RDJ is doing both in the
well,
same universe.
That's true. Yeah.
let me ask you guys this then. Would you have preferred that they continued with the multiverse route that they were going, considering the reception that the kind of feedback that you two have kind of had for those recent movies?
Well, they're still doing the multiverse saga. They're just not doing it with Kang anymore for obvious reasons. We all
Yeah,
knew that. Yeah, they had to make a pivot from Jonathan Majors. I just think that it could have. I don't. I just.
recast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you either recast Kang or you just cast someone like literally anyone else as Doctor Doom.
We're
No,
literally
I mean,
talking
not even
about
that. Just,
multiverse beings.
yeah,
Recast.
my thing is like, why don't you just recast Kang? He's got a trillion
Right.
different versions, right? What's not to say just one of them just looks different,
Right.
Boom.
right?
Right.
That's
Right.
that's that's an easy way to not have to change nothing. But that also tells me how little faith that they kind of had in kind of their game plan moving forward based off the reception
And
they've gotten for the
Cash,
recent movies.
you made a good point. Make him look different. He's just the one who looks different. So that makes them that shoehorns him into let's stop killing this guy in every movie and TV show he's in so that we can make him matter. The problem with Kang was they made him scary by saying, "Oh, look, even if he dies, there's another one." That's not scary. That's just annoying. You're just a
Right.
nuisance. He's like a cockroach. He just keeps coming back. No, that's not
Right.
scary. We weren't like we didn't like Thanos because he kept dying. He didn't die. He was just powerful. Like he slapped around the Hulk like a little punk. He was like, "Yo,
And
let him
talked
have his
cash
fun."
shit to
Like,
the
come on,
Avengers while he
that's
did
a
it too.
villain.
Yeah. No, I'm
Facts.
with you. I
Like,
know,
and he was like,
Nigel.
"Yo, I read about y'all."
I'm with both y'all 100%. Like I feel like Cardinal to that point, even more of a reason why I don't like this move because again, like when they introduced the multiverse, and I know we talked about this, off air before, just like our friend group. It was exciting because anything is possible, right, with the multiverse, but it's also a double edged sword
Mhm.
because the multiverse makes anything possible. You can use it as a crutch. In my opinion, what they're using it as a crutch for right now, saying, "Oh, we're just going to bring back a beloved actor and we'll just explain it away as multiverse." It's just like
Yep.
instead of them using the multiverse as like something that could be infinitely creative, they're being lazy with it, in my opinion, with this move. What's the point of having a multiverse
Yep.
if you're just going to have the same actors? give us different stuff. And I think they just like they had the Infinity Saga all the way planned out, and they got done with the Infinity Saga, and they tried to do like one of those situations where it's like the Golden State Warriors. They have this ongoing dynasty, and they tried to rebuild for the next era at the same time, and you can't. You can't.
I mean, it's a desperate move. Let's keep it a buck. They're desperate, and I mean, it wasn't reported how much RDJ is making. It was reported how much the Russo brothers are making, and It was around like 50 mil per movie or
Yeah,
something
I
like
saw
that.
RDJ's making over 80 million for 2 movies.
Yikes!
So
Yikes!
y'all still haven't learned your lesson after all those years. Instead of just throwing money at the problem like you did with the Marvels, see how that worked out. Like you did with Love and Thunder, look how that worked out. You guys just keep throwing money at the problem. Now we could be eating our words in a couple of years and it might be great. But if you don't learn from your past, you're doomed to repeat it. Pun intended. Bars. So, like, come on, what are you guys doing, man? Like, you just get better. No, scratch that. They do hire good writers. The problem is they don't let the writers cook. They sit there and give them all these limits, and then they call them last minute. Oh, we got to change this up. We got to change this, and we'll just fix it in post. Let the writers cook. Give them enough time to do what they do, to write good stories, and let them do it. But problem with Marvel is they're like, oh, we gotta put it out a certain way, and it's just too many hands and too many cooks in the kitchen.
And I'll
That's the problem.
Well,
I'll just say this part. I would have preferred if we were going to bring RDJ back in any sort of form or fashion. Um, I just the villain role again, like you said, seems a little rushed and um, like okay, we have to pivot. So how do we pivot? I would have preferred to see him come back as like a superior Iron Man or something like that, as opposed to
Thank you.
like just from a um, different timeline instead of turning him into a villain because you had to fire the last one you had because he got in legal trouble.
I'm calling it right now. Disney's so desperate that Avengers Doomsday will be Superior Iron Man versus RDJ Doctor Doom. I guarantee you there's going to be more than one Tony Stark in that movie, and they're going to be fighting each other. I guarantee it, bro. I'm telling you, man. They're going to be so desperate.
that's interesting. I really
You got to
hope
put
they
his
don't
face
do that.
everywhere.
I really hope they don't do that. And like honestly, like part of me is like hoping that this is not. I mean, it's the multiverse, right? So that's not the only Doom out there. Like I do think we need a real non RDJ Doom out there that is going to pop in and out of
Right.
like Fantastic Four and Avengers movies past Doomsday and Secret Wars. Otherwise, I feel like they're really
Right.
doing Doom a disservice by just casting him as
They already are.
RDJ. Like
Especially
if
when
that's the only Doom that we're gonna get in the MCU, I think it's a huge mistake. I think you're missing out on being able to really tell some really cool stories, and they still can, but there's always going to be that like RDJ Tony Stark Iron Man shadow looming over it.
it'll also be a little
Touche.
weird to me if, from what I understand, Fantastic Four movie is supposed to start in like the 60s.
Yeah.
So
Like a
what is
retro
RDJ doing?
futuristic 60s.
What is RDJ doing in the 60s? If I mean that's their main villain, right? It's going to be Doom. I'm just curious how they're going to tie it in.
That's a good question because I didn't even think of that. And I'm wondering if they're going to go down the route that the Flash movie did, where it's like, it's a bowl of spaghetti, when you mix things up, sometimes you get time slippage and you look different and you're a different age. And this time, I don't know, man. Like these studios are just like, make it happen. And the writers have to come up with these stupid ass explanations. And
They might go with
But
we'll see. That's
isn't
a good
space
question.
travel time dilation method. They went out on a mission when they came back. 60 years had passed. It's 2020 when they got back, and
isn't the villain supposed to be Galactus in the Fantastic Four movie? Like they're doing Galactus. I don't think they're going straight to
He
Doom. I
is.
mean,
no,
Victor
but
Von Doom almost has to be in
It's
the
been
movie in
revealed
some
he is
capacity.
Galactus.
Okay.
yeah, I think they are doing Galactus, but it's like, yeah, eventually, like that's going to be their introduction movie. That's not going to be the last time we see Fantastic Four. So once they're done with Galactus, we got to see Doom for a
Which
long
is
term.
crazy. It's been revealed Galactus is first. He's in the Fantastic Four movie. There was footage, but it's crazy that he's just a footnote, kind of. leading up to Doom. It's That's kind of weird to me. I don't understand that.
Yeah,
I
it's a
don't know.
weird situation that like they're in with Fantastic Four, which I mean, I don't know. Growing up, I've never really been a big Fantastic Four fan. I feel like everyone, the only reason why most of the fandom cares about Fantastic Four is because of their proximity to Doom. Like that's really the only reason why we
Yes.
really care about them. I mean, sure, Reed Richards, of course, he's one of the greatest minds in the MCU. We know that, but we're here for Doom. Let's be real. We're here for Doom. We don't really we don't really care about you know
Well,
the first Marvel family.
some
So
of the
what?
older fans care because back in the day when Marvel was about to go bankrupt in the 60s or 50s or something, Stan Lee created the Fantastic Four as like a love letter to comics and as his last comic, but it did so well, it saved Marvel. So that's why they're called the first family of Marvel. But for me, I'm like Stan Lee liked cheesy stuff. He said that himself. The Fantastic Four was always too cheesy for me, like Mr. Fantastic, Doctor Doom. Like it's a little too corny to me that I never really liked it as a kid, but I respect it for what it is.
Right.
But again, they're still banking on the fact that Fantastic Four is going to save them again, and I don't think so because they're so cheap. Like the Fantastic Four is cheesier than Captain America. Yes, they made Captain America cool. I don't know. Maybe that's why they're doing this in a '60s retro futuristic thing to be like a stylish, quirky kind of movie. I don't know how that's going to gel, but we'll see. I don't know, man.
Which I do think, Nigel, to
Just
that
don't
point though,
know.
like putting them in like a different multiverse where like they have that kind of like futuristic '60s kind of aesthetic. Um, because I think they haven't quite figured out how to tie them together. Like all these different IPs that they now have, namely Fantastic Four and X-Men, how they're going to tie them into this current MCU that's been in existence for over 20 years now at this point, or almost 20 years at this point, right? It's going to be, that's why I think, like, again, this whole multiverse saga is, it makes it a lot easier from a narrative perspective because you can just say, oh, well, where have they been in the last 20 years? Oh, different universe.
I mean, the problem too is, like you said, they don't know what to do, and none of like they announced all their projects for the next few years. There was no X-Men projects on that panel. None. So I'm like, what are you gonna do, man? Like you people wanted you to acquire Fox for this very reason, and you still
Not for
haven't touched
Fantastic
it.
Four,
What are you
for X
doing?
Men.
Well, we can't say they didn't touch it at all.
No, I'm talking about X-Men. Yeah, yeah.
Like again, we can't say they didn't touch it at all. I don't know if we're going to pivot into the Deadpool combo, but
Oh yeah, we got
there's
it. Let's pivot. Let's pivot. Because I'm getting depressed. Um, so all three of us here have seen Deadpool and Wolverine. Cash, what are your thoughts?
um, I love Deadpool films. Um, I first off, anyone familiar with the Deadpool character in the Deadpool comic, like understanding, like he breaks the fourth wall. It's meant to just be a very over the top, unserious, funny, just entertaining film. You get a lot of. I would argue that Deadpool is one of the movies that gives you the best fan service. They do it the right way. When you get the fan service, it's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
done the right way. So I went into Deadpool and I had a great time watching the movie. Um, I know what to expect when I'm watching a Deadpool movie, and that's what I like. So I enjoyed myself.
All right, Chris, what you guys say, man?
No, I mean, I echo everything Cardell said. Like, Deadpool is, he is, like Cardell said, like he's the ultimate fan service weapon because he can break the fourth wall and he can kind of, I mean, like some of the lines he had, like he was telling Wolverine, "You're joining the MCU at a low point." Like only Deadpool can get shit like that off. You know what I mean? and like him telling
Oh
Hugh
yeah.
Jackman's like they're gonna make you do this until you're fucking 90. It's great. I mean, like I don't know. Maybe like RDJ as Iron Man aside to kind of connect to. I don't know if there's a better casting in comic book live action movies. Like Ryan Reynolds is so perfect as Deadpool. Like I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone on this planet who could play Deadpool better than Ryan Reynolds does. I honestly don't.
I mean, we've had interpretations before, um, like video games and stuff, and we all liked it. You know, it was cool. And then you see Ryan Reynolds, and you're like, "There's nobody else.
Yeah.
None."
How did we ever
When he's
imagine this
done
as
with it,
anything other than
retire his
this?
jersey,
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's in
retire
the
his
rafters
jersey,
already.
he's
retire his
hitting the
costume.
rafters.
um, so y'all probably like, "Yo, I know he got his critiques. What he got to say?" uh, when I went to the movie, I wasn't expecting much because you know how I feel about Disney right now. And this movie was in production before it got acquired by Disney. And then when they got acquired, they had to do all these reshoots to incorporate it. And you could tell what the reshoots are, right? Like the whole pretty much beginning of the movie with the TVA and stuff. So are reshoots. And you're like, all right, let's get past this because I'm in the theater. I'm like, isn't the TVA done? Like, did the writers not see Loki season 2 or something? I don't know. Whatever. But I'm watching it and we can cuss, right? No. Yeah. Fucking love it,
It's your
man.
channel, man.
Eh, well, we don't cuss on my channel, but I guess we will now. Yo, I love this movie, man. Like, this is the movie that the MCU needed, right? Uh, the MCU's been in trouble for a while. All right, so I'm watching this movie, and I got my critiques, but then I remember to that video I saw that Ryan Reynolds himself put out before the movie dropped. He was like, he was talking as Deadpool, and he was like, "So, this movie," and he basically just says, "I can't do a Ryan Reynolds impression." He basically says, "Hey, this is a popcorn movie. We're not trying to win any Oscars. This isn't going to have substance. We're just going to make you laugh, and stuff like
Right.
that." And I'm like, "Yeah, so you can't critique it." And the thing I love about Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool, there's so much self awareness, bro, in all three of the movies, right? Like he's calling it out. In the first movie, my favorite part is when he shows up to the X Mansion. Colossus and the chick shows up. He's like, "It's funny how you always answer the door. Like it's almost like the production didn't have enough money for any other X Men." Like he's just
Right.
so self aware, and he calls it out. So any critique you're going to have, he calls it out in the movie as it happens. So it's like you got to respect it, and because of that, I'm just sitting there enjoying the ride for 2 hours. And it's not entirely true that it didn't have substance because there's a lot of heart, and it's mainly in um, Wolverine, right? Hugh Jackman, you know. And I'm watching the movie, and I'm like, can anybody else play Wolverine? I mean, it can, but it's almost like how James Bond has so many actors, but everybody's like, "Yo, Connery's the guy." Connery was James Bond. We got all these other James Bonds, but they weren't as good. I'm wondering if that's going to be the same for Wolverine because I feel like they're putting off X Men. One big reason is because they can't find a Wolverine.
Well,
Um,
spoiler warning before we go any further for anyone who hasn't watched it, since we haven't really gotten to specifics yet, but I do want to now. We did get to see a possible alternative Wolverine in the movie. We got to
you're talking
see
about the
Yeah.
5 for 3 one,
I'm talking about the one that used to wear a different uniform for a different company.
Calverine.
Yeah,
Calvary.
Yeah, man.
that was a dope
And
little
Deadpool was
cameo they
like,
put in there.
and Deadpool was like, and I almost died in the theater when he was like, "We won't treat you like those pieces of shit down the street." I was like, "Damn."
And I'm
I
like
was
thinking to
like,
myself, nah, they
"Damn."
probably will. Don't go with them. But I'm watching it, and it's funny because his Wolverine shows up right after comic accurate Wolverine, and I'm like, you know what? This is a perfect example of how some things in different medias don't translate. right in other medias.
I
Like,
think that was the point,
yes, in
Nigel.
the comics he's 5'3". Yeah, yeah, and that's why I love that they did it in this movie because Ryan Reynolds called it out. You know, I forgot what he said, but he called, and I was
No, he
bagging
literally
on.
said comic book accurate Wolverine.
Yeah,
Yep.
and funny thing is, I was like the only one laughing in the theater, really. But yeah, like I'm like, it wouldn't translate. Like we need a big Wolverine, and Cavill's not a small guy. He's like 6 foot something, you know. But I'm like, he fits the bill. Like he has the voice, he has the build. Like, give me a Cavalry, man. Like if it's not going to be Hugh Jackman, give me Cavalry for sure. But
Nigel,
that being
you
said, I
you
loved it. All the cameos was great.
you mentioned why they were kind of like holding off on X-Men. Didn't Feige get his start? Didn't he work on like those original Fox X-Men movies in 2000? Here's what I
Yep,
think.
that's where you got to
I,
start.
I think Feige cares so much about the X-Men, he's not going to put anything in development until he's going to do the X-Men justice. I have 100% faith in Feige that he's, if anyone, he's trying to handle this IP with care, and that's why I think he's not rushing it.
I want to point to a couple other cameos real quick in the movie that I really enjoyed. One of the main ones was was Chris Evans. I saw him, and initially I think Captain America, right? And I'm looking, I'm like, he looks a little skinny.
Yeah,
5 minutes
different
later, I'm
hair.
like, oh shit, different Chris Evans, Johnny
Yeah,
Storm.
I'd forgotten.
The art of anticipation, switching anticipation. Oh, it was. I died laughing in the theater. Yo. I was like, "Yo, stop playing, bro!" Like, he's like,
How did
"Wait,
you
what?"
guys feel about how did you guys feel about Wesley showing up as Blade?
I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I also
Stop
loved
Me too. I
playing
was
with
like,
him.
I love the line
yes.
they put in there. He was like, "I'm the only blade there's ever gonna be." And Deadpool just looks at the camera, and is like,
I was like, "Bro,
hey, he might be right though,
bro."
because rewrites for that
Yeah.
movie, this has been a mess.
So I saw
Let's
this
not even go
movie
there.
Tuesday, and it was even teased. I mean, it was even a leak got out that I saw that Wesley was in the movie. But I go to the movies Tuesday, and I'm the only one who theater goes, yeah. I'm like, yeah, baby, yeah. Let's go,
Oh,
baby.
and I know you love this part, Nigel. When he was talking, Deadpool was talking to Elektra, and she was like, "Oh yeah, uh, your boy's already dead. Daredevil's already dead."
And then she's like, oh yeah, that's fine. I was dying. I started dying. Like this movie had so much deep cuts in it, like deep cut
Oh,
throwbacks that I
one
was like the
more.
only one getting it in the theater I saw.
Finally, Chris, how did you feel about Gambit's appearance?
It's so I knew you were gonna ask me about that. So when like after they showed Elektra and they showed Blade, I'm already thinking, okay, who else is next? Like what else are they gonna give us,
Yeah,
right? And then Channing Tatum
Right.
walks
And I
in
was like,
and I just like start laughing to myself, like, oh my goodness. Now, number one,
and they purposely made his costume corny. Like
yes.
he can't
Yes.
even move his neck,
And
and
they made his
when he's
accent
fighting, you
so
can see
over
it's
the
just a
top.
yeah.
plastic
His
plate.
accent is so thick. No
It's
one
so over the
can even
top.
understand what he's
Like
saying.
Deadpool's poking fun at him the whole time. He's just like, I can't understand a fucking thing you're saying. You need subtitles.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and
He's like, honestly,
even like
who's your
that,
acting coach?
yeah, even like that cameo has like so much self awareness too, because like they're going back and forth. Deadpool's going through his speech about like why he needs their help and everything like that, and he was like, man, there's a tons of people we can save, and Gambit's like, or would have liked to save. You know what I mean? Like he keeps riffing on all these things. Like, damn, I would have loved to be in a movie, but whatever. I guess it kind of reminds me
I
of like
mean,
that
it's like
dynamic
deep
when
cuts
like
after deep cuts. Like,
it reminds me of that dynamic with in like No Way Home with the three Spider Man and like Andrew Garfield is like talking. He's just like, I don't know, I don't. And Toby's like, "No, you're amazing." He was like, "I don't, I don't really feel like I was all that," because like people collectively are just like, "All right, he was in the worst Spider-Man movies, so like he's the worst Spider-Man." Even like when they're putting their plan together, and Tom Holland's like, "Okay, Spider-Man number one," points at Toby, he's like, "Spider-Man number two," and Andrew Garfield's like, "Number three." I guess I'm the worst one. That's kind of how I felt when I was like watching Gambit through the movie, like. You're not. You should just be happy to
Oh
be here,
yeah,
guy.
But
yeah. Like he kept like alluding to the fact that he had no world because he had no movie. So he's like, I think I was born here. Like I don't
yeah,
think I have
his
like
shit got
nowhere to
scrapped
go.
before it came out.
But like he still fuck shit up. Like he was killing dude. His moves was crazy. Pop,
Yeah,
pop, 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 pop.
I love the way they brought
Crazy.
his fighting style to life in the live action sense.
Same, same.
Yes.
I just wish they would have gave Blade his long sword instead of just the
I know. What
short
was
blades
that?
he was messing with.
I don't know what that was
He had
about.
this little short.
I don't know.
I
Wesley
don't
might
know.
be too old to be messing with the long blades nowadays. I mean, he had to slow it down a little bit.
Do you think that was a studio thing? They was like, we can only have one guy with dual katanas
Possibly.
I feel like
because everybody
here's
had
the
like a
thing.
signature weapon.
Yeah.
I feel like if that was the case, I feel like Deadpool would have said something about it.
Yeah, but also let's not forget this movie was shot during the writer's strike, so Ryan Reynolds was forbidden from improvising. And I think it was
Mm.
done by the time the writer's strike was done. So I don't think they went back to put any more audio because he was wearing a mask. He could just, put some audio in. But I was surprised he didn't point that out. So maybe it was already done by that time.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. And you see these things and they're shot in a way that's like, oh, if we don't get this guy, we can just put this character in it. Or if we don't get this guy, like so. I think they just put their stuff in there and just let it go. But yeah, that was weird for me. I'm like, why has he got just one little stubby sword? Where's the swords at, man? I
Yeah.
don't know.
I want to bring a question up to y'all because this is kind of tying into like the future of the MCU, like where we kind of go from here. There was the introduction of a term they used called an anchor being throughout the
Yeah,
multiverse, right? That's definitely gonna like just the whole concept of an anchor being and the anchor being dying in the universe causes their universe to slowly start decaying. That's obviously something that they're going to use moving forward as we move towards like this like greater multiverse war, secret wars, everything else. Which makes me going back to like the RDJ thing. Was Tony Stark the anchor being in Earth 616? Is that what's going to
I
cause
mean,
all
sure,
these
looking
like kind of
like
like
it.
multiversal rifts?
Probably because all their movies have been shit since then. That's probably the case.
That's a good
They
question,
can
Chris.
explain that
Definitely
away with
decaying.
multiverse too, I guess.
I know. It's
That's
not
that's
the
a good
woke agenda. It's the anchor being. Yeah, RDJ's dead.
that's a good question
That's
now.
the problem. I feel like that's something they just pulled out of their ass as Marvel does. Like, oh, how are we going to tell this story? Oh, let's make up something else.
Well, I felt like that was just a slight pivot from like Nexus being. It might have been some writing they had left in before the merger was complete, where they necessarily couldn't say the same words. So
Probably, probably. And did y'all peep how this pretty much the whole movie takes place in the void? And I'm watching this movie. I'm like, I can tell this was shot before Disney acquired Fox because the void doesn't look like the void from Loki. It just looks like regular places. So I'm like, and they talk about how this movie was supposed to be a ride along movie with Wolverine and Deadpool in a car driving to different places. I'm like, oh, okay, that's probably what it was. Then Disney acquired them. It's like, all right, well, they've been driving the whole time in the void. Oh, yeah, yeah, it's in the void. So I'm like, okay, I see where you salvaged it, it's all good, but
I love the reference to
I don't
this
know. They
doesn't
could
look
have
like
did
the void.
something
This looks
different.
more like Mad Max.
But isn't that IP infringement?
He's
I was like,
so
all right,
great, man, in this
but
role.
at the same time, the movie seemed like a requiem for the Fox universe, but it's like he was making fun of it, but it still seemed like there was like, even though these movies were kind of convoluted with their storytelling and timelines and characters, this was still a great thing, and let's pay homage to it. He kept saying fuck Fox," but the whole movie was kind of like, "Oh, this was great though. We did this thing." Even the end credits was
Yeah,
that
in
Green Day
credits.
song with the shots of all the Fox movies behind the
Yeah.
scenes and stuff like that. So I'm like, it made me want to revisit all those movies again, well, all the good ones. You know, I can do without, you know, Wolverine Origins, X-Men Origins, whatever.
But remember
But
again,
yeah, I was like,
them paying homage to it, Nigel. Again, Kevin Feige worked on those movies, so I mean, I think those movies, as you know, for lack of a better word, divisive as they were, hold a very special place in Kevin Feige's heart. Which is why I think, now that they do have the X Men IP under their umbrella, like I don't think he's not gonna fuck around on that. Like he's gonna make sure that he's delivering the best possible X Men product he can give us. I'm not sure he's gonna be able to
if
top
that's
what
the
X Men
case,
'97 did, but you know,
if that's the case, Feige, drop everything and handle X-Men yourself because time's been ticking. Now let's go to X-Men '97 because y'all told me to watch this,
I can't believe it
and
took you this long
because
to
I was
watch
done
it.
with
I
Dis-
honestly can't.
Me
I
neither.
was done with Disney, bro. I was done. I wasn't watching any Disney stuff. I still haven't. I've only watched X-Men '97.
And
And
Deadpool.
dear God, X-Men '97 made me not want them to touch X-Men in live action because '97 is just too good.
It's
I
so
mean,
good.
there's no wasted time. Every character gets their due. I mean, Magneto's lines is just fire every scene,
Bar
bro. It's
after
it's
bar
literally,
after bar.
I might get called corny for this, but I came up with an acting minor, studying Shakespeare. I did Shakespeare plays. Yo, bro, this was Shakespeare, man. Everything was fire. And the way these voice actors was just delivering lines, especially Magneto and what's his name? Professor X. I know it was Ross McQuaid who did him. Like, just Shakespeare, just chef's kiss, bro. Like everything was fire, bro.
Like,
I mean, go ahead, go ahead.
I just want
Just
to say,
go.
coming to somebody who never liked Cyclops growing up, right? Like borderline despised the Cyclops growing up. I mean, I'm riding with Wolverine. Wolverine don't fuck with you. I don't fuck with you. Um, but
Facts.
bro, such a great job of really showing, kind of one developing him as a character to where I knew more about him and I was actually more invested in his character, demonstrating his leadership when he's actually active with the X-Men, and actually showing like, yo, like, 'cause I always thought he was a bitch. He's showing, yo, bro, like, no, like he's really like him using the way that he used his concussive beams
Thank
Hmm.
you.
to me was similar to how like in Yu Yu Hakusho Yusuke comes up with different ways to utilize his spirit, right? Like
Facts.
he's got this one move, but he finds ways to make it work and create other opportunities for himself. Him blasting off the ground to push himself back and stuff like that. It brought another element to me that I could never even like fathom seeing from him. So
I
he
mean,
did a wonderful job.
Cardell, to that point, when they're flying, when they're dropping out of the plane, out of the jet, everyone else has parachutes or whatever, or they're flying, and Cyclops just uses his concussive blast to like dampen his fall, so he doesn't even need a parachute. I was just like, oh shit, Scott is letting his nuts hang in this one. Even when like even
Yo,
when
I just
that
want to.
that reporter I'm sorry, even when that reporter comes to the mansion
No,
and
go
she's
ahead.
interviewing Cyclops, right? And he kind of like loses his shit
That
for a
part.
moment, and he's like, honestly, thank God we are who we are, because it's the only reason you people are still alive, and got up and left. And I was like, oh shit, Cyclops, get your shit off, big dog.
For real, man. It's like, yo, people tend to forget because of how he was written in so many different mediums. Cyclops is an expert level tactician, a hand to hand martial artist. Like, what's it called? I forgot. There's a Marvel term for it in the comics. Leader skills or whatever, leadership skills. But like this dude, he's actually badass. And I've always said if I was to make a movie out of X Men, it would be of Cyclops, just to show how different he could be John Wick with optical blasts, you know. And yes, I know the nerds are going to kill us online if we don't clear up his blasts are kinetic. Yes, they're kinetic energy. That's why people can get blasted and not disintegrate like Superman's heat vision. Okay, we get it.
Right.
But
They're concussive blasts.
I just love
They're
like
not
Cash said.
plasma.
Yeah, like Cash said, like how he was using it to get around, to zip around the room, to flank somebody and then shoot them in the back or on the side. And like come on, bro. Like I feel like DC has struggled so hard to do a good Superman story and really figure out his character live action wise. Where I'm like, bro, Marvel did it with Captain America. They're basically the same moral compass, same kind of character. Write it like that. And now I feel the same way with Cyclops. I'm like, look at Cyclops in X Men '97. That's how you write a guy like that, a Boy Scout character, and make him cool and stuff like that. Do that, DC. Like Marvel keeps doing it, and y'all ain't doing it right, you know. But yeah, like X Men '97 was crazy, bro. Like I just gotta say that one line when Magneto whisked them up into the air, and he's like, "Look," he just lines them up, sycophant, bigot, racist, and he's like, "Look, don't let me let you down." I was like, damn.
Double entendre when it even asked me how.
Bro,
Yeah.
I literally turned, put the TV up pause. I was like, "Damn,
Yo,
it's like,
they did my boy.
Don't make me commit that,
Yo, is there a timeline where my boy Gambit does not get done dirty? Because he got done dirty being born in the void in Deadpool, and he got done dirty in X-Men '97.
bro, they keep doing him dirty, bro. They
Because
keep
he's
doing
too
him
cool,
dirty,
He's too
and he
cool.
just
He's
goes
too
out like a
cool, and they
champ."
they gotta
Yeah,
they gotta bring him back down to earth. Gambit's always been my favorite, and I remember
But he's so self-deprecating.
when that episode aired, when the credits rolled, I was just like, bro, I'm not okay, and I'm not gonna be okay for some time. You're right, man.
R.I.P. Man. Like I was
They
never
do our
really a
boy dirty.
Gambit fan, but I felt that shit, bro. I felt that shit, and I was like, "Fuck, bro!" Like Magneto in this show was like Thanos level for me, because I'm like, damn, if Thanos was right, what the fuck you think Magneto was? Like, come on, bro. Like, and we're all, from what I see at this table, we're all black men here. I mean, watching this show, how do you feel? Like, I'm like watching this shit, and I'm like,
You know, Nigel, we Magneto is one of the greatest villains of in all of comic books because most of the time Magneto was right. Like you can sympathize with Magneto so much because they even say it in X-Men 97 time and time again. He's proven right every single time.
yeah,
Every single
yeah,
time
they
he
did say it.
tries to just be like, you know what? I'm gonna do my own thing over here. Y'all don't fuck with us. We don't fuck with y'all. Y'all just stay over there, do your thing. We'll stay over here and do our thing. Every time, every single time, he's proven right. And like you see that with some of the other X-Men characters in the show of them, especially with the absence of Charles. It's like, man, I don't know, man. I know Magneto be doing some wild shit sometimes, but he sure looked right to me after this Genosha shit, man. He sure looks. This whole mutant supremacy thing don't sound too bad to me no more. It's
Yo, I
just, I
saw
don't know.
that episode after Gambit died, and I'm like, yo, it's war. It gotta be.
Yeah,
There's no
Yeah.
other way.
yeah,
There's got to be
yeah.
war.
Yeah, and like
That's
you,
what
you
y'all
see
wanted.
you see just how like OP Magneto is in that show where he goes to the North Pole and he just shuts the whole planet down, just like sends the whole planet back to the Dark Ages
Ah.
in like 37 minutes. And it's just like, well,
Yeah.
shit.
Bro. I mean, to his credit, Bo DeMayo, a this showrunner for the show was a black gay man. So you can imagine all the pain he suffered in life. He just put it on the paper.
Yeah,
That's all I can come up with. I'm like,
yeah.
this guy must have been in his room, the writer's room, just cooking. Like, I got something to say to y'all, motherfucker.
Dude was
Like, just,
he was writing with a flamethrower is what he was doing.
but he got fired. So it
Well,
is
let
what
me
it
tell
is.
you something. Disney needs to pay him whatever he wants because let me tell you something. After I think X-Men 97 might be the best iteration of X-Men that I've ever seen on screen, live action or cartoon or otherwise. And I don't feel like that's hyperbole. It's been out a couple of months. I don't feel like I'm being outrageous. I don't feel like that's a hot take. It gives you everything you love
I don't
about
think
X-Men. It gives you the political drama, it gives you all the individual character struggles, it gives you real life allegories about bigotry and racism and genocide and all these things. If
and it can
Disney's
still
not
be
going to bring
lighthearted
him
too.
back, and it can still be lighthearted. If Disney's not going to bring him back, don't even tell me that you're producing a season two because I don't care about it if he's not running it. I don't care about it because
So
this might be the
I
single
think
best thing you guys have ever made.
I
It's
think his
that
paycheck.
good.
I think his paycheck and a lot of other people's paychecks went to paying RDJ for these next two movies.
Well, god
well,
damn it, they need to
to give a
siphon
little
some of that
context,
off.
he wrote most of season two. He wrote most of season two before they fired him. So he'll still get credit for season two, even though he got fired. They already hired season three's showrunner as a different guy. I forgot who he is. I can't remember, but I don't remember because I don't care. Like I want Bo DeMayo on that. Like I can't even remember. I looked him up and I saw what else he did, and I was like, "Oh, that's fire! That's fire!" And I'm looking at his resume. I'm like, "That's fire too." And I'm like, I don't care though, because X-Men '97 is like peak DeMayo, and he needs to come back. And like, you fired him because he has our OnlyFans. Okay, you have rated R stuff on Disney Plus now. Stop playing with me, bro. Just hire him back. Like, who cares?
Yeah, we don't care.
Just tell
None
him
of
to
us
clean up
care.
the OnlyFans.
You just put out Deadpool and Wolverine. You know how much sexual innuendos in there? How many times they talked about doing cocaine offset?
Thank you. Thank you. You have the Punisher on Disney Plus, where he's just hammering dude's face. You have that show, that basketball show about a dude having sex with a chick and then getting caught in the NBA based on a true story. Like, come on, stop playing with me. I don't care. Bo
Yeah, no,
DeMayo,
yeah,
give me
no,
that. If
we
this was
don't
a
care. We don't
movie,
care.
Listen, I watched The Boys, bro. You gotta do more than that for me to be like, ugh.
exactly. As long as you don't sit there and say, "Hey, you know," as long as he's not advertising his OnlyFans on X-Men '97, I don't care. Hire
Yeah.
him
Yeah, I don't
back.
care. Yeah,
You had
yeah.
like
No,
3 to 5 years of
I think
trash.
First
I
off,
Hire him
think them
hold
back.
on.
not bringing
What
him
does that
back would be a
say?
huge, huge mistake. Would be a
Hold on.
huge mistake.
Hear me out. What does it say that he has to have an OnlyFans when he's writing for Disney? What does that say
They
about
weren't paying him
y'all?
enough. They weren't paying him enough.
Also, that
And
too.
let's
I
not
never thought
forget
about that.
Disney just remember all their people went on strike. You know, so I mean,
Disney themselves said they didn't need the writers, and they muscled them. They said, "We'll ride this out until they're starving and have to come back."
that's what
Let's
Bob
not
Iger
forget
said.
that.
Yep.
Let's not forget that. All right. So don't try to play nice now. Like, oh, we're a good Christian company. Shut up. All right. You're not. Stop playing with me, yo. Stop, bro.
yeah.
Come
They
on,
would
man.
be incredibly foolish not to bring Bo DeMeo back. Like what? It's just I feel like I cannot stress enough how good X-Men 97 is. And like I don't think that another showrunner, because I do imagine if Bo DeMeo was writing multiple seasons for this, that he has a vision for where he wants to take X-Men 97. And
Right.
I just don't
Oh yeah.
trust another showrunner to be able to pick it up and take it to where he thought Bo DeMeo was going to go and execute it in the same way Bo DeMeo was going to take it. It's kind of like the Star Wars thing with episode 7, 8, 9, when you get two different directors for the 3 episodes and they don't
Thank you.
communicate and the story just doesn't make any narrative sense. You guys cannot
I had to
you
pull up
guys
this dude's
cannot fuck
resume.
this up. It's too good. It's too good for what he did on season 1 for y'all to just be like, no, OnlyFans is where we draw the line. Come
Well,
on, guys.
while we're on the topic of classic animated shows, uh, I did want to kind of pique you guys' brains on that new Batman Cape Crusader that drops today, actually.
I will be
Oh
checking
yeah,
it
I
out
forgot to
as
check
soon
that
as
out.
humanly possible.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
check
gotta
it out
check
for
it out. I
sure
think it's
because
on
they got to
Prime.
do what they want. It
Yeah,
is.
it's on Prime, which
Yeah,
let's not
looking
even
forward
I'm
to
gonna
get
checking
check
that
that
out.
into
out for sure.
let's not even get into Warner Brothers and their just sheer fucking incompetence for running their own IP. But
Well, I'm not gonna.
You order
Well,
the series and then don't buy it.
well, yeah,
then
but
and you sell it to a streaming competitor when you can put it on fucking Max. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. I know I don't know all the behind the scenes stuff, but you don't produce
They're losing money.
you don't produce an animated Batman series that was, by the way, produced by Bruce Timm, the guy behind Batman the Animated Series, which might be the best animated TV show literally of all time. And
And the
then you say, you
writers
know
and
what?
producers of that came back.
Yeah, and you're gonna say, you know what? We're gonna sell this to a streaming competitor. This is fucking Batman. This isn't like some run of the mill piece of shit IP. This is one of your
This isn't
staple
Booster Gold.
pillars.
the problem is you're focusing on the stupid ass studio who we've known that's been stupid for greater than the last 10 years. I'm just focusing on the product. The studio is I almost have slur. The studio is dumb. So I'm just gonna focus on the actual art that they put out because we can't lie. When DC, when it comes to their animated stuff,
Fire.
Fire.
it'd be fire. They knock it out the park. I'm just not going to spend $15, $20 to go see any of y'all movies in theaters anytime soon.
I'd
Yeah.
watch it if it was an animated movie.
I'm talking about the live action ones.
You right. Same. I agree. I agree. Well, my Nomads,
But
this
yeah,
was another good
anyways,
one.
rant over. I will be checking that out.
Yeah, go check out Batman Cape Crusader on Prime Video. Yes, you heard it right. It might be confusing, but thanks for tuning in. Be creative, my Nomads. Peace.
Peace.